Hey everybody, it's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. Today I'm going to be playing with the We Are Memory Keepers Fuse tool, and I thought it would be fun to do a variation of a shaker card in that I wanted to have a fixed item in the center that was fused in the center of the pocket, and then all the shaker material floats around on the outside. So this is how I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to start with one of the Essentials by Ellen storage sleeves. Now these are for the 4x6 stamp sets, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this and cut off the end about 4¼ inches off the bottom of it. And I'm going to keep that and work with that, and then I'm going to set the flap section aside and come up with another project for that later on. But right now I've got the bottom portion of the storage sleeve, and it is already fused, of course, on 3 sides, and just where I cut it is where I have an opening. And then I'm going to use this gorgeous leaf die. This is from a Concord and Ninth set called Layering Leaves, and I just thought it would be so pretty, die cut from a scrap of wood veneer paper that I had, and I'm going to layer that onto a scrap of white wood grain cardstock. And then I also stamped Happy Fall with just black ink onto typing paper, and the Happy Fall is from the Autumn Acorn set. And I just thought it looked really cool on the typing paper for some reason. It just added just kind of this, I can't even describe it, but I just liked the way it looked. So I'm going to glue all that, mount it all together, set it aside, and now I need to do the fusing on my pocket. And one thing I've learned about the fuse tool is that the little bumpers on the bottom elevate the wheel to the point where sometimes the wheel gets stuck. And so what I've learned to do now is I actually flip the ruler upside down, and then the clearance is much closer to my plastic. And then when I'm dragging that hot wheel across the surface there, it's not going to get caught or stuck up there on the top. Now, when you're working on the Essentials by Ellen storage sleeves, it is a little bit thicker ply of plastic, and so you do want to go even slower. And I'm actually rolling this wheel along in real time. I didn't speed up the camera for this part because I wanted you to see just how slowly I'm having to go. And I also have to use firm pressure to make sure I'm actually getting the fuse to go through both layers of plastic. And then I'm just double checking it to make sure I got all the way through there. And I'm going to come around and do the other side. And the reason why I'm doing this, even though they're already, pre-fused, is that I like aesthetically how it looks when all the sides have equal fuse lines on them instead of just sealing the open gap area. I just like how it looks because it reminds me of stitching. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly run a bead of that fuse line there all across those 3 outer edges. And then I can go ahead and start taking my piece here, and I'm going to slip it inside and position it exactly where I want it in the middle. And once I'm done futzing around with that, because of course I have to futz with it just a little bit here and there and get it perfect just right because, I'm OCD. I have OCD. So once I have that set where I want it, I'm going to come back in with my ruler. I'm going to set the edge down about a 1/8 inch gap from the edge of that piece that's in the middle. And this is going to allow the wheel of the fuse to sink down. Now I did preheat my tool. I always preheat my tool before I start doing a project like this for about 20 minutes before I start fusing, so it's nice and hot. And you do want to make sure that you're being very careful not to get your fingertips so close that you burn yourself. So now I'm going to go ahead and fuse opposite sides first, and then I'll just rotate my project here and line that ruler up, again leaving about a 1/8 inch gap between the edge of that piece of cardstock there inside the sleeve and the edge of the ruler. And then once I have all 4 sides sealed, it's trapped there. It's not going anywhere. And pardon my hair. I know it just looks like big bug antenna, but it's just me with my crazy hair. So now that this part is all fused and I've got that thing trapped in the center, I'm going to go ahead and start loading it up with sequins. And there's probably a better way to do this than what I'm doing, but I'm just grabbing a pinch at a time and letting it kind of work its way down the sides there. And I'm just going to keep adding sequins until I'm happy. Now you could go really crazy and pack it, but I like how they almost look suspended there in the storage sleeve when you just have them floating around like that. And they will shake around. At first I was afraid they weren't going to shake around at all, but once I got everything sealed completely shut, and that's what I'm going to do right now, I've grabbed my ruler, and again I've flipped it over, so I'm working with the back side of the ruler flipped up so that I have it as close to the surface as I can get it, and it won't catch that wheel as the wheel is rolling down the side there. And I did make sure that I pushed all those sequins away from that edge so that I could get a tight seal. And if you don't get a tight seal the first time, you can always flip it over. Like I discovered, oh no, I had a gap. I didn't quite get it sealed all the way. Maybe I went too fast or I didn't press hard enough. So I flipped it over and I just ran over that same thing again on the back side to make sure I had it completely sealed. And here I'm just checking with my tweezers to make sure that I've got everything completely sealed. Nothing's going to fall out and escape. And there you can see what the finished project looks like. And you could actually put some adhesive on the back side of the Happy Fall piece that's in the middle and mount it to an A2 card front. It actually fits perfectly on top of an A2 card. Go figure. And here I am shaking it because I can't resist. I just have to kind of play around with it. Now here I had this leftover piece and I was like, what can I do with this? So I decided to go ahead and seal the bottom, and I'm working about 1/8 of an inch from that cut opening there, and I'm going to seal it shut again with the fuse tool. And as I'm going, I'm noticing, that I'm not quite getting it completely sealed. So I slow down, or I can flip it over to the other side and seal it again on the back side. Just go over that same line. And that's what I'm going to do right now, just to make sure I've got it completely sealed. So I've flipped it over to the other side. I know I do a lot of flipping. Hang on to your shorts there, because you're going to do a lot of flipping back and forth when you work with me, man. So now I've gone over that line on the back side and I've got a really nice seal. So I feel much better about that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I just eyeballed this. I was like, okay, I think that looks pretty much dead center. If you're really particular, you can take a ruler, make sure you're dead center. But I eyeballed it and actually came pretty doggone close. So now I've got that center. I ran the fuse down there and I just wanted to make sure I didn't extend beyond the cut line there, so I wasn't having some fuse marks end up on the flap or anything like that. And then I flipped it over to the back side and repeated it, so I had a strong fuse, and made sure that I didn't have any gaps there. I'm just testing it with my finger to make sure I've got it completely sealed. And then I decided to decorate the flap, and it's easier to work on a glass surface with this washi tape so it doesn't stick to the paper or the cardstock, and I can peel it up easily and then go ahead and trim down what I need. Now I'm going to reposition it because I didn't get it quite aligned. It's kind of hard to see where the fold line is of that flap unless you kind of lift it up and tilt it a little bit in the light. So once I got it positioned where I needed it, and the great thing about washi tape is that it's removable and you can pull it up and put it back down as you need to get it positioned right. And then I just trimmed off the edges there, probably just a little bit too much, but then I'm just going to go ahead and crease those to create a nice finished edge there. And then I realized this pretty washi tape, this is by Pink Fresh Studio, it's from their Indigo Blue release, and I just love the pretty pattern, but it wasn't quite wide enough to cover the whole flap. So instead of trying to piece it together with more washi tape, I said, you know what, that's just a sliver. I'm just going to take my Fiskars trimmer and slide that blade down and just get that little tiny sliver there off the flap cut off, so then it's all nice and flush. But if that doesn't bother you, leave it by all means. So then I took a tea bag and I took some more pattern paper from the Indigo Blue collection and tucked those. I cut them down to size and tucked those into the little pockets, added a tea bag and some honey packets, and then I decided to wrap some baker's twine around that coordinated in the same color to create just kind of like a little gifty pocket with some tea and some honey packets for somebody who maybe needs just a little nice sweet cup of tea. I just thought that was a really fun way to use that portion that I had cut away so that nothing got wasted. We have more still shots and details available at the Classroom blog. All the supplies are available at ellenhutson.com, and thanks for watching.